The US and Russia are forging ahead with peace talks in Saudi Arabia. So what does this mean and where to from here? Joining me live is lawyer and Democrat lobbyist Nathan Daschle. Nathan, hello to you. Thanks for joining us as always. Ukraine is on the agenda here, but not in the room. What's your take on this?
One of the problems with American politics is that American voters don't vote on foreign policy. And so that means that there's no political imperative in one direction or another. And in this case, I think that gives President Trump the license to do something that, in my opinion, is not in our national interest, but actually plays well politically, because the American public doesn't really want to engage in Ukraine. They don't want to send taxpayer dollars to Ukraine, especially when they can be spent here at home. And so I think Donald Trump has tapped into that sentiment. And in my view, what we should be doing is securing the future of Ukraine and working with our NATO allies. But there's not the political imperative to do so.
You say there about talking to NATO allies and sort of working out a solution there, which is what most people believed would work. But the reality is it hasn't worked. Now, the US says these talks with Russia were positive. On the other side of the argument here, there's been no resolution on the conflict in Ukraine at all during the Biden administration, really. Do you concede that potentially, while you might not agree with it all, that this is a step towards a negotiation, or it's at least opened the door to that dialogue?
Well, there's no question that this opens the door to dialogue and that this gets us closer to negotiation. The question is really whether this is the negotiation that we want to have. Do we want to concede Ukraine's territory to Russia right off the bat? Do we want to concede NATO membership for Ukraine right off the bat? Those are things in negotiations that you would probably give up after getting something in return. But in this case, we've given them up right off the bat. And I think that puts us in a very dangerous position.
At what cost do you think these negotiations are taking place?
Well, we will see. I mean, I think the cost first is that the United States, our alliance with our European allies has been weakened. The speech that J.D. Vance gave the other day, right on the heels of Pete Hegseth's speech, the speech that J.D. Vance gave the other day was a sound across the world that the United States is going to take a different tack with respect to our European allies. And I think that, the whole foundation of NATO is based on this collective defense. And the United States really took a giant step away from that. And what was the cost? I guess we'll see in the future. But the fear is that Putin won't stop at Ukraine, that Putin will continue his aggressiveness into other parts of Europe.